buddy? What's this? That's beef. Yeah, this is exciting. Patties. Burgers. Oh, tenderloin tips. Need something interesting with those. That's what we're cooking. Some people use like a food processor. I'm just gonna do it all with a knife. So my garlic tip is to take off the heel end like that. And you go like that, it should just basically fall out. The more you like chop garlic, break it down, it releases this thing called allicin. That's not spelled like a woman. That's what gets like sticky too. So like it's, I don't know, some sort of chemical reaction that starts once you're breaking into the fibers, I guess. Something I figured out that sort of works is I grab it and I just use like the very end of the knife. We need a couple of these we're gonna hold back that are gonna go in with the butter basting. Some people don't like even like diced garlic like this to get that full hit of a fresh piece. So with herbs, I'd like to like grab them and then you sort of fold and then you fold again and then nice and fine, the knife's up against your knuckle. And I always find that like whatever your pile is at the outside, there's always like the least chopped. And so I just go back over it a couple times. Use your knife to pick it up, grab it, twist it, grab it, twist it. You just kind of get it all compressed. And then they say if your knife is sharp enough, you shouldn't leave like a big green mark on your cutting board. We're using flat leaf parsley and some cilantro, which I think is not traditional for chimichurri, but it's looking pretty good. I think for this, I'm just gonna take a little bit of this for now. So I'll grab this, and then what I do, we'll see if this works, but I grab the outside and then I just kind of like roll and you get rid of those, I don't know, those little ribs which are hot, and you get rid of the actual chili flakes which are very hot. And then what you want to do is rub your eyes. Okay, all of them. Oh, there's a baby crying. I always overdo vinegar, but chunk of this garlic. Let's add a chunk of these peppers. Pepper. We have rosemary in our yard. And there's also so much out by the street. My buddy Steve cooked here one time. He's a really good cook, and we grabbed a whole lot of these. We used them as like skewers for chicken thighs, and then did those on the barbecue. And that was awesome.
We got a tired boy with a bumped eye.
I take my fat caps and give them just like a little tiny slice so that they don't curl up basically, and like cup your meat so you're not getting full coverage on your pan. People undersalt their meat all the time. I don't add too much, well really any salt when I'm cooking, and almost never after. Because this just all sears up and becomes delicious. I'll like pat them once again right before I cook, because you want your meat just as dry as humanly possible before it goes in a pan. And some people say like pepper later or whatever. I don't really agree with that. I love you so very much. That's hot, but not crazy. So this is like called butter basting. So you start them in the pan with a little bit of oil. I don't think you want to use olive oil because you want the pan like basically screaming hot as you can get it. Some sort of vegetable oil. This is sunflower oil. You want your oil like sort of looking like that where it's shimmering. We'll do them probably for like 2 minutes on one side with just the oil, and then I'll flip them. Maybe I'll go a little longer. Then you add these herbs. So we got some rosemary and some thyme, a couple cloves of garlic, and those will all cook up in that oil and butter. And then you grab a spoon and you're just basting, and you're covering the top with like the screaming hot butter and oil, and that continues to like give you that nice outside like crust that you want. Lay it away from yourself, as they say. But basically after you get that first side, you get like your proper sear on there, you flip them over, and you add butter to the pan. And the nice thing about when you have oil in a pan and you add butter, the butter doesn't burn, it browns, but doesn't really burn. I don't know why, but it works great. I think it will just flip once, but I don't know. You get the sides too while you're at it. Get that fat cap, get some of that in the oil. Rosemary, rosemary. Get it all in there. Start taking that hot butter that's bubbling, and you just start pushing this over. Alright, time in there. Oh, that's a little low. So they say you cook steaks to 135, but I pull them before that personally. Ooh, that looks nice. So when you're cutting steak, you can see how the grain's running like that there, but then here it kind of changes and starts to run this way. I find the same thing with chicken breasts. And you want to cut against the grain. Now, people always say that on like cooking videos and stuff, and no one ever really explains it, but like it's gonna feel much more tender to your mouth because what you have is like intermuscular fat, and this is really nice beef. So that fat renders and cooks in between those layers of muscle. And so if you cut against the grain, like the grain's running this way, you can see those lines there. If you cut this way, it's gonna feel much more tender in your mouth. And that's like a great way to make, I mean, this is a great cut of meat, but say you're doing like flank steak or something like that, that's like a chewier, harder cut, you definitely wanna cut it against the grain with that, because otherwise it's gonna be really, really tough in your mouth, and you can take a cheaper cut of meat and just cut it the right way, and you can have a much more like tender mouth. Cut this. See what we got. That's looking good to me. Cut through that fat cap. It's just gonna get pinker as it sits there for a second. Then you want to look at that grain, so now it's sort of running this way. So you kind of want to like maybe switch up what you're doing a little bit and like start to cut against it almost this way, you know what I mean? Because it changes the orientation as you like move through the cut of beef. But that's gonna be really tender and good, I think. Chimichurri that we made, and I would say be pretty liberal. Not politically, of course. I would maybe consider a little bit of finishing salt. What's that? Exciting. Learning how to stand up. Uh-oh.